this morning. My name is David Smith, and I'm the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister McNaughton for the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development. I'm pleased to be here today to join Minister McNaughton in making an important announcement. Since day one, our ministry has been dedicated to listening to workers and creating opportunities for the hardworking men and women of this province. And since our last Working for Workers legislation, I can say confidentially that we have made progress. However, today's announcement will go even further. Our government is striving to make Ontario the best place to live, work, and raise a family, to make Ontario the most attractive place for workers, foreign and domestic, to join us in growing the amazing province. However, it is too often that we see folks who comes to Ontario with their temporary work visas have their rights violated. And it is too often we see these violations go unpunished. Today, those days are now over. Our government is being proactive and has committed to standing up for our most vulnerable workers. To achieve this, our government has worked closely alongside hardworking people of this province, listened to their concerns, and now we are taking action. That is why I am proud to be working alongside Minister McNaughton as we continue our efforts to make good on our mission to work for workers. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Honourable Minister McNaughton. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you, Dave. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this really important announcement. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government passed Working for Workers Acts in 2021 and 2022. These acts have since helped millions of workers across Ontario by requiring businesses allow truck drivers to use washrooms while making deliveries, by mandating life-saving naloxone kits in workplaces, by requiring employers give their workers the right to disconnect and put away their phones at the end of each workday, by protecting employee privacy, by requiring employers tell them when they are monitoring their devices electronically, and many other changes that are leading the way in Canada and across North America. Later today, we'll build on those groundbreaking actions by introducing our third Working for Workers Act. This act includes new job protection, so our brave military reservists can have peace of mind while recovering from physical or mental injuries. More washrooms and cleaner washrooms, including some just for women, for construction workers who are building projects we need. Enhancements to termination pay, so that those who work remotely get the same protections as those in office. Easier access to compensation and supports for our firefighters who get pancreatic or thyroid cancer from putting their lives on the line to protect all of us. And improvements to our employment services to help more people, especially those on social assistance, get the hand up to a good job they can be proud of. All of these changes have one goal in mind: to put our workers first. Because an economy that doesn't work for workers doesn't work at all. The changes we've made and those that are part of this bill are common sense and long overdue. Far too often, those who put in an honest shift, who would give the shirt off their back to help their neighbor, and who save every day to build a better life for their family, have been forgotten by previous governments of all stripes. But our government sees you, and we're making changes to help you. One group of workers who are often forgotten are migrant workers, who all of us rely on for crucial jobs like growing the food that feeds our families. While most employers care about their workers, some continue to take advantage of them, including illegally holding their passports and work permits. This obviously leaves workers vulnerable. Recently, I met with Loli and Giovanna from the FCJ Refugee Organization, who spoke to me about the work they do to support migrant workers and ensuring that they know their rights. Because no matter your immigration status here in Ontario, you have rights. Stories like what I heard from them is why our government is proposing the highest maximum fines in Canada for employers and recruiters who are convicted of taking or retaining a foreign national's passport or work permit. Individuals convicted of taking or retaining a foreign national's passport or work permit will be liable to a fine of up to $500,000 or up to 12 months in jail or both. And corporations will be liable to a fine of up to $1 million. Furthermore, offenders could face additional penalties, up to $200,000 for every worker whose rights are violated, quickly adding up to millions of dollars more in fines. We won't tolerate exploiting or trafficking workers. This builds on our ministry's anti-trafficking division we launched 18 months ago to fight labor trafficking. My message to those scumbags out there abusing migrant workers is this: you can run, but you can't hide. We will find you, fine you, and put you behind bars. Labor trafficking has no place here in Ontario. Health and safety should never be a cost of doing business. Every worker must come home safe to their loved ones at the end of their shift. And while we know most businesses follow the rules, our government is holding companies who are responsible for injuries or death responsible. That is why we are also increasing the maximum fine for corporations convicted of an offense under the Occupational Health and Safety Act from $1.5 million to $2 million, the highest in Canada. We will continue to use every tool in our toolbox to ensure Ontario is a province where hard work pays off and big dreams come true. Together, working together, we can build a stronger province that leaves no one behind. We are working for you. Thank you, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Do you have a timeline on portable benefits? Like, is this in the legislation? Is it maybe in the budget?
Great question. I'm really excited about portable benefits that we are going to move forward with. I've said, in the past that millions of workers deserve to have healthcare and dental coverage, and millions of workers in Ontario don't have those benefits today. But under the leadership of Premier Ford, we will move forward with portable benefits for those workers. The timeline is in the summer. We'll have a report back to us, a blueprint on how to bring in portable benefits to millions of workers that don't have them today. We're the only place in North America that will have portable benefits. I really see this as not only helping those workers in Ontario with no benefits today, but also it will be a recruitment and retention strategy to help keep these workers and attract the best workers to Ontario. So summer will be the next step.
So summer is when you're getting that final report from the task force,
Yeah.
and then timelines are then, I guess, based
Yeah,
on
I
what they
mean,
say.
we want to move forward as quickly as possible with this.
On the migrant workers sort of protections front, we know that migrant workers are often afraid to report things. What tools or mechanisms are you going to be using to find out about these cases of these bad actors?
Well, great question, and you're right. I mean, migrant workers are afraid. That's why every possible chance I get, I tell migrant workers that they're protected under the labor laws here in Ontario. Please come forward if there's injustices out there. We hired more than 100 new health and safety inspectors. We have more inspectors today on the ground every single day inspecting workplaces. Furthermore, as I said, we launched 18 months ago a anti-labor trafficking division of the Ministry of Labor. All they do, this entire division, is to go out and investigate complaints or do proactive investigations. So we're continuing to do proactive investigations. Also, if there are concerns raised through our Health and Safety Action Center, and that number is 877-202-0008, and we encourage people to come forward.
Do you know how many instances of withholding passports those inspectors have found up to now?
Well, I mean, look, we see it far too often in Ontario. Recently in the York region, Thanks to our ministry working with the regional police, they did a bust where 64 migrant workers were being abused. Their passports and work permits were being held. If these fines move forward, our legislation passes, in that circumstance, it would be at least $6.4 million in fines. Hopefully, as I said, jail time for these culprits that are doing this injustice out there. Since we launched our anti-labor trafficking division 18 months ago, there's now about 45 investigations ongoing as we speak. We've recuperated lost wages for more than 3,000 workers. So it is making a big difference, but this is a problem not only in Ontario but across the country. But again, you know, I said it to those scumbags out there, we want them fined and we want them behind bars.
Still on the migrant workers front, but also perhaps tied in with the labor shortage, the federal government is considering giving all workers some sort of status, migrant workers. Does your government have a position on that?
Well, certainly I know they made an announcement that they're expanding a pilot project. I forget the number of workers every year. I work really closely with Minister Sean Fraser. In fact, we had a really historic announcement on Saturday. Ontario is going to be able to select more than 18,000 immigrants every year based on skills that we need to fill labor shortages. But he and I continue to have a conversation to ensure that workers are protected, that we bring in the workers with the right skills to fill labor shortages. Ultimately, you know, my priority as the Minister of Labour in Ontario is to ensure that we're setting newcomers up for success. That's why, under the leadership of Premier Ford, we were the first in Canada to get rid of the Canadian work experience requirement, which is very discriminatory. Like, when people come here, we want them serving as doctors or in the healthcare system or in the skilled trades, not driving taxis or Uber. So that's why we continue to bring in protections to help these people, lift them up, and help our economy at the same time.
So specifically on the regulating migrants front that the Trudeau government is currently considering, I mean, many advocacy groups, some of whom you've spoken with on this front, would say that that would you know, help some of these problems, that people aren't necessarily speaking up about something bad happening because they don't have status. So does your government have a position on should people have status?
Well, like, certainly I supported the federal government when they made a change to increase the numbers that they were moving to having status here in Canada. We continue to have these negotiations and these discussions. But look, if you're willing to work, you play by the rules. We want you here in Ontario. We have a severe labor shortage. I mean, when you think today, over 350,000 jobs are going unfilled. That's why everything we're doing is about, you know, improving conditions for workers, especially those most vulnerable workers out there, and opening up training programs, for example, to newcomers for the first time in Ontario history.
I don't see anything in here about paid sick days, and your program expires next week. Should we be expecting an update on that, or is it just going to expire?
Well, certainly it's the status quo as we speak. We were the first in Canada to bring in a job-protected leave. So if people are staying home because of the pandemic, if they're sick, or to look after loved ones that are sick, they can't be fired. It's worked, I think, really well to support workers. The paid sick day program that we announced a couple of years ago approximately has now served over 500,000 workers. And we'll have more to say about that, but certainly the program has worked and filled its purpose. Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.